A lot of people struggle with the go-to-market strategy when they start selling AI solutions or offering AI consultancy to businesses. And that was one of the questions that I have received. So let's read it together and create a go-to-market execution plan for this specific person. I have spoken to one of your students in the group who has a lot of more experience in setting up the backend technical platform. We agreed to test our partnership. This person is a part of our one prompt licensing program. This is what he's referring to, where I'll be focusing in the go-to-market execution called outreach, email, LinkedIn, warm-up, prospects, free business audits, focusing on areas: growth, revenue generation, time saving, productivity, business intelligence, decision making. Based on the biggest pain points upside for the prospects, you, other students, will develop a solution, or we'll select off-the-shelf AI solution implemented with some return on investment. Niche. Initial, due to my experience, I'm going to test the pre-seed, seed, and Series A B2B startups. From my experience, the biggest issue they are facing is growth. And then he is going over the technical setup that he was planning to use. The first time I read this message, I was a bit confused because this is completely an opposite of what I am suggesting and that I am advising all the people that I know and to the people that watch my content. But that's fine. This is the most common way of how people think about the go-to-market strategy, about the offers, and about the value that they are providing to the businesses. So let me explain why this is not going to work and how you can replace it to something better. The main problem that we see right here is that there is no offer. And the offer could be something like the growth, revenue generation, consultancy, saving, productivity through the audits that this person will actually do. As you can see, free business audits plus business growth reports, which by itself is a good value. But you need to consider the market where you are currently in. Any business right now at the end of the 2025 is receiving tens of messages from people who are offering growth consultancy services. There are tens of consultants right now on the market who have a huge network that are adding AI as their toolkit. So none of the consultants, none of the growth operators or business growth, consultants gonna do anything without AI in the next 1 or 2 years. All of them are starting to explore that. And all of them are going to be in the same market where you are in. And it's actually not tens, it's tens of thousands of these consultants. So if you are starting with a niche, if you don't have the audience, the people who trust you, who you can first upsell and get the ball rolling, it is very hard for you to start offering the free audits or the reports to the businesses around the AI, even though they might be looking for that, because these businesses usually been working with some sort of a consultants, and now the consultants that they trust will already offer the AI analytics, AI audits that will help them to understand where specifically different automations, agents, and workflows can be applied. So when you are going to the market with this type of the offer, and if you think that your free business growth audit or the AI growth audit, whatever you position it, going to make a difference, going to give you the leverage, I'm sorry, but it's not gonna work. Because again, they've been offered that before, and they're not looking to get another audit even for free, because in order to make the audit, they need to commit with their time. They need to give you their time so that you can then, out of the data that they provide, create an execution plan for them. So especially considering the fact that this person is planning to do the cold outreach through the email in LinkedIn, this is not going to work, because when you are writing a cold email, you need to have a punch line that will make your offer stand out. So if you say, hey, John, I love whatever personalization, a standardized line that anyone right now on the market use, and then it's gonna be your offer. Like, we can make you a free audit so you can understand how to use AI and make more money. Of course, I'm exaggerating. Probably if you have some experience with the cold emails, this is not the email that you will write. You're probably going to reference some sort of a case study that you did. You're going to say, okay, so we did that for the company that is similar to yours. This is the results that they are seeing, and we can give you a free audit. Or we can say, okay, so we can, if he is focusing on the B2B startups, we can increase your revenue integrating AI solutions. But before, let us do the free audit. Again, so this is just an example. It's a bad example. You don't want to use that. This is not going to work because there is no value in this email. Businesses do not understand what you're selling. You are selling the growth and the revenue possibility. And in case of the cold outreach, you need to have something that is very tangible, that they can already smell from your offer. And then, of course, as a part of your execution, the audit will be included. So the audit is just a part of the deliverable that you're gonna use as a part of the trial, for example, that you're offering. So you need to have something specific. If we are talking about the niche that he was referring to, which is the B2B Series A startups, there are two main systems and AI solutions that they would be interested in. I'm telling you this because we had quite a few good experiences with the B2B startups in the US and Canada. We're not specifically targeting this through our cold outreach, nor through the paid ads that we're running, but we've been focusing on that at the first stages of our agency growth. The first service is the AI SDR, and the second one is the AI sales reps. The difference here is that SDR, this is the sales development representative, which usually referred to as the outbound system. Now, of course, it does depend on the startup that you're working with, but because they are B2B, so you can help them to create the cold email infrastructure, the LinkedIn DM infrastructure, or the content plus outreach infrastructure. There are, of course, multiple ways how you can position yourself in the market in the solution that you can drive. But what I want to tell you is that this is one of the things that can be actually used by a lot of the companies. This is what they are buying. And the reason for that is because even though the cold emails are not very hard topic for the newbies when they are coming in, for the startups, there are so many things that they are focusing on, and they just don't want to build the entire, domain infrastructure warming up, even if the softwares like instantly make it very easy for anyone to sort. They even have the pre-warmed up domains. So they are buying that. But again, because a lot of people and a lot of agencies and consultants understand that, they are getting reached out by all of these agencies that are offering AI SDRs a lot. Not even talking about startups like 11x that are spending millions of dollars on the marketing that are basically building the AI SDRs. You can literally type the AI SDRs and you can see how many of the softwares, not the services, out there on the market. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to be able to compete. What it means is that your acquisition per client is going to be higher because the competition is higher. So your choice here is either put the volume in. So let's say you're going to focus on a specific B2B type of the startups. So let's say you're going to focus on the management systems for food manufacturers and startups. So if this is your niche, you can try to make it work, because the general AI SDRs for a very specific niche is working. And you're going to have a lot of leverage once you sign 1, 2, or 3 clients, because everyone is in the same niche. So you are going to reuse the prospect list for other companies and other clients. So what usually happens with the agencies that focus on the AI SDRs for a specific niche, they have, let's say, a 30,000 prospects, potentially prospect, that their clients can reach out to. So let's say they are working with CRM companies for food brands, something like that. So now there are a certain amount of CRM companies that you can work with. So let's say there are, 1,000 of them. There are probably more, but let's say there is 1,000 of them. All of these 1,000 companies are going to be reaching out to the same pool of food brands, right? Because again, all of them have similar product. You don't really want to work with competitors, with the softwares that are competing with each other, but you can still work with the companies that can potentially target the same niche. So all of them are targeting food brands. And let's say there are 30,000 potential prospects of the food brands out there. So you're basically going to reuse the same list for multiple companies that you work with, which is, again, not a bad thing. And from your side, it is a good thing because you can productize a lot and you can craft the offers in a way that is very understandable for the market you are in. But if you're going broad, this is not going to work because the general cold outreach only works if you're doing it at scale and if you have the budget and the volume to put in, or you have something very specific, very punchy that can be understood within only one line. And let me give you an example. So he was referring to the fact that he is going to B2B startups that are raising Series A or already raised. Now, this is also very important. Which one are you in? So before Series A, on the pre-seed, or after Series A? But let's say it is after Series A. How about we, instead of just targeting them with a free AI audit, which doesn't mean anything, or even the AI SDR build, hey, we will help you to get the demos through building you the AI SDR infrastructure. Instead of doing that, how about you are gonna come up with an offer like this? We will help you to find investors for your Series B round. Now, I'm giving you this as an example where you can see that this is the outreach that is specifically already referencing the fact about the company, which you're not even stating. Meaning, because you say that we'll help you to raise the Series B round, it means that you know that they already raised the Series A round, and you're gonna help them to raise the Series B. Now, the same thing can be applied with the fact hey, we will help you to get more corporate clients that are going to pay premium, considering the fact that you just raised X amount of dollars. Sorry for my grammar. So this is something very specific. Now, on the back end, you're building the same type of the AI SDR infrastructure, right? It's still cold emails, cold domains, the warm-up software, the lead list, and the outreach. If you're doing it on the LinkedIn, these are multiple profiles, the messaging, the strategy, and go. So it's the same thing. It's just on the way you present it to the business. And compare something like this with we will help you to grow the revenue with the free AI audit. No one wants this. They want the free AI audit from the people who their investors, so let's say this is the SaaS, the startup that raised the Series A. Now, they probably work with a lot of the investors. The investors have the friends or the people that they already worked with, the consultants that will help them to explore how AI can help. You cannot enter this space, right? Because everything related to consultancy is very, very brand oriented and case study oriented. And if you're starting out, something like this can give you a lot of leverage because you can leverage the different deliverables for free to show them the value. So of course they're going to ask, okay, so do you have the case studies? You can kind of work around that. But what you can also offer is you're not going to build them the infrastructure and you're not going to start running the campaigns at first. What you are going to do, you will provide them the list of all these investors and you can scrape them by a software like clay.com and enrich that. So picture this, you can actually reach out to these people saying like, hey, I have a list of 100 investors or maybe like 1,000 investors that would be interested to look at your startup for B round, something like that. What you're doing here, again, you show that you know that they already raised the Series A, and you also have the list that you're going to provide to them when they're going to say, oh, okay, sure, give me that list. Again, because you're reaching out to the different companies, to the different software companies in the space, you can literally reuse this list and send to everyone for free. And what you can say is, okay, yeah, sure, here's the list. And by the way, so if you want us to build the AI system that will make them interested and will make you hop on the call with them to help you to raise the Series B, let me know, and we're going to build you the infrastructure for X amount of dollars. So now they will not even ask for your case studies, and they will be willing to pay you money up front because you already provided the value. So basically, the AI SDRs is a really, really solid option for you to go about starting and reaching out to the B2B startups. The second one is the AI sales rep. And the difference is that the AI SDR is the marketing. And AI sales reps is basically everything related to sales. This is where, for example, the One Prompt, my company, is focusing on. In a nutshell, all of the B2B startups care about demos, and you can help them to close more demos by engaging with all of the visitors and form submits that they receive. Now, of course, if you think about this, we are probably targeting companies who are successful. So there's a smaller pool of the companies. But compared to the AI SDR, you don't need to be responsible for getting them off the ground. You're not responsible for delivering the value in the marketing aspect. Instead, let's say the company raised the Series A and they are receiving 20 to 50 demos every day. So instead of them actually building the system themselves or losing all of the people who are hopping on the demos not knowing what they are buying, you can have the AI system that will educate, nurture, and qualify all the people before sales call. So all the people who submit the demo will be reached out by our AI sales rep, and it's going to say, hey, John, I saw that you submitted the form for the demo, and we actually have the call next week. May I have 2 of your minutes to talk about your needs? Most of them are going to say yes, of course, depending on the channel, depending on how you set it up. So now you're going to have a conversational experience with the people, and they're going to go back and forth with the system providing all the information. And there are 2 benefits of having something like that. The first one is the fact that all the people will be qualified. So all people who are on the sales calls are qualified, which is not that big of a deal, right? The reason for that is because usually these companies, the B2B startups, have the people who are doing the sales calls. And these people are not 100% busy on a day. So the business owners, the founders, usually are okay with the fact that 30% of these people who are on the calls are not qualified. So you can bring down the value from 30% to, let's say, 5% of the unqualified people. So now, sure, they can pay less, or they can optimize the expenses on the team so that the sales closers are only talking with the people who are qualified. But this is not the main value. The main value is in the closing rate, because all of the people who've been reached out by our AI sales rep, of course, gonna think that they are talking with someone from the team, because the system that we are building, that you can build, needs to be as human as possible. So they think that they already communicate with a software. And picture this, because this is a B2B software, it's a higher ticket. So within the higher ticket, there are a lot of the alternatives. And usually people value, and the businesses value, the support. So you are showing to the potential client how good of your customer experience is. So even before they are interested, even before the sales call, you're reaching out to them, showing that someone is there for them to help the company win. So it builds relationships, it builds the trust, and the closing rate is going to be extremely high. I have a few videos on this YouTube channel of the B2B software companies. One was in the investment banking space that I was posting, I think, 3 months ago, of how we increased the closing rate by 20% by just following up with people who are signing up and requesting to open an account. So this is an extraordinary good value. Now, of course, these are all the little nuances that you would want to mention on your outreach. You can say that, hey, we are having this AI sales rep that will increase your closing rate by 25%, and until it does, you're not going to pay. So compared to the AI SDR, yes, it is a bit harder to close, because here you literally give them 100 investors, or you're doing some sort of a free deliverable, which doesn't cost you anything. Here, you need to do something for free. You need to provide the deliverable. And the deliverable here could be a free trial of this AI sales rep. Now, of course, it does take time to assemble the trial. It depends on the system that you're going to build. But if your system is productized enough, you can build these trials within 1 hour. So if you're going to have 10 trials after sending, let's say, 10,000 or 15,000 cold outreach messages, you are going to be able to close at least 30% of them, which is the 3 clients out of the 10 who hop on the trials. And each client can be worth $5,000 to $10,000 depending on the deal structure that you're going to implement. So now, you can see that these are the real go-to-market strategies with the real offers and the services that provide the value. You cannot focus on the free AI audit or growth reports that you think are valuable. Not only you need to provide the value, but you also need to be aware of how your offers will be perceived by the potential people who you're reaching out to, in our case, B2B startups. I hope you loved this video. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.